Okay, I think we are coming on live here, and this is my new thing that I'm doing, these Amazon streams, and I share them here on YouTube as well, so that you all can take a look and see who else is streaming on the Amazon platform. And what I found to be a lot of fun is just doing my unboxing recordings live, and that is what we're going to do. So if you are watching on Amazon, I got to hit the go live here on Amazon, so let me get that going. The link down below will take you to the Amazon feed, which is the same thing you're seeing here. The difference, though, is that they have a little carousel that runs under the video, and it'll talk about the things that I am talking about. So what we're going to be doing in the next hour or so is unboxing this Echo Studio, which is their new higher-end Atmos thing. So we're going to try that. It turns out I should have bought two of them because they work better as a pair as opposed to individually, but we'll test the single one in the review, and then maybe we'll buy another one. I don't know. These are expensive, 200 bucks a piece. And then we're going to look at the Lenovo Ultra Portable Bluetooth speaker. I don't usually review Bluetooth speakers, but I am going to look at this one because it's really thin, and I want to hear what it sounds like. So we're going to look at that. And then Lenovo also sent along something called the Volp 360 camera. It's a conferencing camera that has a 360 camera, and you can switch the views, so you can have like 4 people sitting around a table and then switch to each of them. So I have to find 4 friends and try that out. Maybe I'll use my kids in the example. And then we're going to shoot some B-roll for the Anker Nebula soundbar. I was going to do a full review of it, but to be honest with you, I wasn't crazy about it, and it's going to be integrated into a new segment of my weekly wrap-up video called the Didn't Make the Cut segment. And we're not going to do this one all the time on the wrap-up, but I want to bring that back somewhere, and I think it's going to work well as a wrap-up segment. So that's what we're going to be doing there. Destro says hello. Lee1302, welcome. We have Aptim. I hope I got that right because it looks like it's in Cyrillic there. We also have Lee1302, General Makaba, who hopes all those ads he's watching is going to get me paid. I hope so too. So please keep watching those ads. It's appreciated. And FH is here as well. All right. So this will be a little weird to some of you because I'm going to be recording as I go here. So we're going to record something for the Extras channel now, and then we'll be more conversational. So let me get this going. I'm monitoring chat both on Amazon and on YouTube. And I've got a limited time window today because my wife is going off to a Christmas show at the local theater, and I have to watch the kids. So I would maybe bring the kids onto the stream, but of course we can't do that with Kappa now, so we're not going to mess around with that. So the kids will be playing with me later on with some other stuff. Okay. So let's go in here. Let's get going here. We've got a few other people that popped in. AT, Marius, Brandon, Gordon, and Landon are here. Now, the last stream I did, somebody got upset with me because I didn't acknowledge them, and I hope I don't offend anyone if I don't acknowledge you, because I'm going to be focused on unboxing. And the other thing that happens on the YouTube side is that there's like 2 different chats. One is like the live chat, and then one is one that filters out certain people for some reason. I don't filter people. Oh, I do, but not usually. So if I miss you, just keep asking, and then we'll try to get to it. So we got Landon, Abden, and Handman. All right, we got some regulars here too. All right, so let's start the recording here, and then we will go from there. And this is the Amazon Echo Studio. So let me start with this. By the way, we're not going to test this now, and the reason is that to test it, I got to look at movies, which would get me a copyright strike. So we're going to have to talk about that in the review. All right. 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and it's time for another unboxing. And this week we're taking a look at the Amazon Echo Studio. This just came in. In full disclosure, I paid for this with my own funds, so all the opinions you're about to hear are my own, and nobody is paying for this unboxing, nor are they reviewing it or approving it before it goes up. Now this is the new higher-end speaker from Amazon. It's an Echo device, meaning that you can use the A word with it, but this is like their premium, big box and heavy box. This is their premium experience. So let me get it out of the cellophane here. It is very well packaged. This came in the box you see, but there was another box on top of that. And by the way, I'm live streaming this at the time I'm recording it, so if it seems a little more conversational, that is why. So here's the deal with this thing. It supports Dolby Atmos. It's got 3 2-inch mid-range speakers. It's got a tweeter, a 5¼ inch woofer, and it supports all the things that your typical Echo stuff supports. Now, in researching this product after I bought it a while ago, it cost about $200. It looks like for the best experience you need 2 for $400 total. I only got 1, so when I test it, it will be just the single one here. But I think that might be a good reference point for people looking at this as a potential soundbar replacement. Now, we're going to have a full review soon on my main channel at Lon.TV. So this is just the unboxing, but I wanted to see what the experience is because Amazon typically has a good unboxing experience. And let's get into this. There's a lot of layers to this. We have a box, another box, and a box after that. And this is it here. Placement on this one is going to be important because it is going to be doing Atmos, which requires stuff to be bounced off your ceiling and whatnot. So again, I'm going to find the right spot for this, and I'm going to look at how they recommend using this in a home theater environment specifically. Now, to get the Atmos sound, I believe it has to be paired up with an Amazon Fire TV device wirelessly. So that is what we'll do when we test it out. All right, so I'm going to cut here because I want to get a better shot because we have a lot of, see this, we have a lot of headroom now. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to add the recording to my mix here. Give me 1 second. And then I'll zoom in on it. And hopefully I called it the Echo Studio when I was unboxing it. If I didn't, we'll have to redub that. All right, so we're going to call this Echo Studio Intro. And I'm just going to play this back so I can make sure I set everything that I wanted to. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to adjust the other camera. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and it's time for another unboxing. And this week we're taking a look at the Amazon Echo Studio. This just came in. In full disclosure, I paid for this with my own funds, so all the opinions you're about to hear are my own, and nobody is paying for this unboxing, nor are they reviewing it or approving it before it goes up. Now, this is the new higher-end speaker from Amazon. It's an Echo device, meaning that you can use the A word with it, but this is like their premium, ooh, big box and heavy box. This is their premium experience. So let me get it out of the cellophane here. It is very well packaged. This came in the box you see, but there was another box on top of that. And by the way, I'm live streaming this at the time I'm recording it, so if it seems a little more conversational, that is why. So here's the deal with this thing. It supports Dolby Atmos. It's got 3 2-inch mid-range speakers. It's got a tweeter, a 5¼ inch woofer, and it supports all the things that your typical Echo stuff supports. Now, in researching this product after I bought it a while ago, it cost about $200. It looks like for the best experience you need 2 for $400 total. I only got 1, so when I test it, it will be just the single one here. But I think that might be a good reference point for people looking at this as a potential soundbar replacement. Now, we're going to have a full review soon on my main channel at Lon.TV. So this is just the unboxing, but I wanted to see what the experience is because Amazon typically has a good unboxing experience. And let's get into this. There's a lot of layers to this. We have a box, another box, and a box after that. And this is it here. Placement on this one is going to be important because it is going to be doing Atmos, which requires stuff to be bounced off your ceiling and whatnot. So again, I'm going to find the right spot for this, and I'm going to look at how they recommend using this in a home theater environment specifically. Now, to get the Atmos sound, I believe it has to be paired up with an Amazon Fire TV device wirelessly. So that is what we'll do when we test it out. Okay, let me unmute that. And what we're going to do next is pick up on this shot where we'll look at all the features of it. And I can see that big woofer there at the bottom. They don't call it a subwoofer though, they're calling it just a woofer. So I would imagine it'll still deliver a good amount of bass. The size on this one kind of reminds me of the Apple thing. What do they call that? The HomePod. It's about the same size. And I guess what they're showing in pictures is that you put this next to your TV. So that's kind of the deal with that. All right, so let's get into this. DBet suggests I should use the Amazon lady. I could do that, but I think in some places you can have, or there's instances where you can have the assistant be a male voice, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And plus, too, the A word has become kind of my thing, because people used to get so mad at me if I would say the A word on screen, so I figured, we'll treat it like it, because people were offended that I was using the trigger word. So that was partly my my reason for calling it the A word. All right, let's take a look. Eric's Variety Channel is here. You're not too late. We just got started. All right, so we're going to pick up on here. 3, 2, 1. So let's take a look at the device itself. It feels like a speaker. It's got a nice fabric wrap around it. Up here is the upward firing speaker, and then there's a bunch of speakers inside, and then I can kind of see the woofer here peeking out from this vented area. It's not a subwoofer, but I'm guessing it's going to deliver a good amount of bass. The size on this feels about what I remembered the Apple HomePod feeling like, so it's close to that in experience, and I'm eager to see what the sound quality is like, and again, we'll explore the sound quality in the full review. Of course, this has the far-field microphones, so all of these little dots up here are microphones to pick up your requests of it. And of course, you can integrate this into your Amazon speaker system if you want. On the back, we've just got a couple of things, a power input. It looks like we've got an auxiliary input for audio, and there's a USB connection here as well. And I will explore what you will do with that USB connection in the full review. So that is the device itself. Inside the box, there are a couple of other things, and I could probably use my fancy new overhead view here to see what else is in here. Look at that. We've got a little package here that says hello, so we've got that. Let me just move this out of the way here so you can see what this says. So you can choose your location that best fits the needs. And this is actually good. They're giving you some tips as to where to place it. You want to download the app and go from there. It looks as though the USB port is not going to be used for anything. So again, I will explore that in the full review. And I'm sure if you know what that USB port is for, you'll probably let me know down in the comment section. So we're going to get this thing hooked up. We're going to see what it can do, what it sounds like, and look for the full review coming soon on the main channel at Lon.TV. Until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching. All right, good. That's one unboxing video down. I'm actually very happy this week because I am like 3 videos ahead right now, which is awesome. So it is good to be ahead of the game for once. I'm just logging my clip here. And I just want to play this back real quick just to make sure the sound was good. So stand by. 3, 2, 1. So let's take a look at the device itself. It feels like a speaker. It's got a nice fabric wrap around it. Up here is the upward firing speaker, and then there's a bunch of speakers inside, and then I can kind of see the woofer here peeking out from this vented area. It's not a subwoofer, but I'm guessing it's going to deliver a good amount of bass. The size on this feels about what I remembered the Apple HomePod feeling like, so it's close to that in experience, and I'm eager to see what the sound quality is like, and again, we'll explore the sound quality in the full review. Of course, this has the far-field microphones, so all of these little dots up here are microphones to pick up your requests of it. And of course, you can integrate this into your Amazon speaker system if you want. On the back, we've just got a couple of things, a power input. It looks like we've got an auxiliary input for audio, and there's a USB connection here as well. And I will explore what you will do with that USB connection in the full review. So that is the device itself. Inside the box, there are a couple of other things, and I could probably use my fancy new overhead view here to see what else is in here. Look at that. We've got a little package here that says hello, so we've got that. Let me just move this out of the way here so you can see what this says. So you can choose your location that best fits the needs. And this is actually good. They're giving you some tips as to where to place it. You want to download the app and go from there. It looks as though the USB port is not going to be used for anything. So again, I will explore that in the full review. And I'm sure if you know what that USB port is for, you'll probably let me know down in the comment section. So we're going to get this thing hooked up. We're going to see what it can do, what it sounds like, and look for the full review coming soon on the main channel at Lon.TV. Until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching. All right, so that was good. And I got a couple of questions in here. It looks like Chaggy Dog wants to know if I've done any videos on free parental controls like OpenDNS, etc. You know, I haven't. And part of the problem is that they're so easily circumvented, especially a DNS-based solution, because the kid can go in and just change their DNS setting. You know what's funny? The thing that I found that worked the best was what we looked at from Circle. And it wasn't the hardware device, it was the VPN service that they're offering, which is, you can just go and sign up for it. I think there's a free trial. And the way it works, especially on Android, is that the kid cannot get out of it. You can't stop it. It will always connect to their VPN, and it will enforce all the parental controls you're placing on them, whether they're home or not. And I found that to be really good, even though the hardware didn't really impress me all that much. So that was an interesting one. All right, so I've got a box here from Lenovo. Take a look. And this is a couple of things. Now, Lenovo, of course, has the computer division, but they also have another division that makes accessories. And in here are two of their latest. And what's funny is their accessories are pretty good. Like you know, they don't just make commodity stuff and just badge it. They actually engineer it. So that is what we're going to unbox here. And I'm just going to take these two things out of the shipping box first, and then we'll record the unboxing of each. So let's slice this open here and see what is inside. And you're welcome, Chaggy Dog. And we've got a few other folks who popped in. Tech with Sean is here, and Michael Sohovsky is here, and Andre is here, and Chris Patacchio is here as well. Some very frequent viewers, so good to see you all. Thanks for popping in. I like doing these live streams, and what's been fun about this Amazon thing is it's been giving me an excuse to do more of them. And I figure, you know what, I'm doing all this work anyhow. I may as well share it with you while I do all of that and kind of go from there. So there we go. And Brian Carter is here. And so Eric's hoping to get a box from Lenovo soon, specifically after he orders his new laptop. You know, it's funny, mine is coming in, I think, this week. I ordered a new gaming laptop. I'm trying to consolidate because I have three PCs, actually four. I have four. I have four PCs right now. I have I've got my my gaming desktop that I built. I have a Microsoft Surface Go, which I love. It's a great little tablet. And then I have two laptops. I have a Dell Alienware 15, Alienware 15 that I bought a couple of years ago, maybe 2 years ago. And I bought it specifically because I wanted to have something with gaming horsepower that I could have down here with my gaming PC upstairs. Just because for the channel, it's easier to have a laptop than it is to run wires from the desktop all the time. And the problem with the Alienware, I have it over there, it's just so big and bulky, I wanted something a little smaller. So what I'm doing, and I have by the way, I also have a Dell XPS 15 that we got in a couple of years ago. So what I'm looking to do is kind of consolidate the PC fleet. So I'm going to part with those two laptops, the Dell and the Alienware. And I picked up a Lenovo with a 2080 GPU inside, and I think it's just shipped, so I should be seeing it in the next week or two. So that was my big upgrade of the year. I'm also probably going to upgrade my TriCaster and get some better production stuff going as well there too. So lots of end of year. I always do like an end of year investment. So I think this year it's going to be the TriCaster because the new TriCaster is out. It does a lot of the things that I was looking to do. They're expensive, but you know what? This thing I've had for 5 years, my TriCaster Mini, and it's worked. I mean, there's always glitches here and there and stuff, but I mean, it's worked flawlessly for the last 5 years now, and it's probably going to die at some point. So I definitely got my money's worth out of it, and I am looking to do more. The two things that the new TriCaster does a little better: first of all, it's more powerful. Two is that it can support 4K, and my cameras, all these cameras I have, support 4K out the HDMI. So it would be possible to actually upgrade to 4K for nothing, well, for the price of the TriCaster, but from the workflow perspective, it would probably be about the same. So I'm looking at that as an advantage. The other advantage is that when I'm doing these live streams, I can, right now I could do it anywhere in the house with the NDI protocol, but I can't control the TriCaster unless I've got something physically connected to it. And the new TriCaster can allow you to have remote control. So I could stream from upstairs, I could stream from the back porch if I wanted to. I'd have more control over camera angles and that sort of thing. So that's why I'm looking at doing that upgrade. So we'll see. I'm trying to negotiate the best price, as I always do. So we have to go through all the motions there. So all right, here's what we are going to be unboxing next. This is the Lenovo Ultra Portable Bluetooth speaker. This is selling for about $110 right now. A little pricey for a Bluetooth speaker, but it is very thin. That's the box, so you can imagine what the actual product's going to look like. It's pretty lightweight too. So that is one part. And this I found, they asked if I wanted to take a look at this, and I thought this was really interesting. This is the VoIP 360 camera. And I don't know how many of you have had this problem, but I have been on these conference calls where you've got a bunch of people in the conference room, and then you're trying to have a call with people that are somewhere else. So in my old day job before I left it, we had just gotten acquired by a big company that was located in another state, and so they did a lot of these conference calls, and we would often all flood down into the conference room and then talk to corporate. And the problem with it is that typically all corporate would see is just a room with these little tiny people in there, because you had to have a camera that could fill out the whole room. This one kind of solves that problem. It doesn't solve it the best way that I think it could, but it's a 360 camera that you can adjust while you're talking, and then it also can work in quadrants. So you can have it basically put in, you could switch it to different quadrants of the table so everybody can get a good view of who's speaking. It just, though, doesn't do it automatically, which I think would be really cool. At least that's what they said to me. So that's how that works. So we're going to, let's start off with the Bluetooth speaker. And I don't typically do Bluetooth speakers again on the channel because I think they're a dime a dozen, but this one was kind of unique. And I did download some copyright safe music, which I'll test on this just before we close out there. All right, let me see, a couple more questions coming in here. The Tam Man, are you going to review retro reviews? Yes, I am, as a matter of fact. I put out a survey on my community tab the other day, and what looks to be winning out is a retro review on classic computing. And I think I'm going to do one of these streams as I'm getting it set up. And actually, I may even just stream the recording session of it. So what we're going to be doing is looking at the MiSTer project again, but exploring a lot of popular 8-bit and 16-bit computers from the 80s and 90s in there. And one viewer had a really good suggestion, which was to take a game that's available on most of these devices and then just kind of show the progression and the differences between it in addition to some of the other stuff we're going to do. So that, I think, is going to be one of the retro reviews. And depending on where I am with content, I might do another one. I've been dying for years to do something on the Newton, and now that I've got the overhead view, I could actually do it the way I want. So I might try to get to the Newton as well. And then the other thing I may want to do in a live stream is get our Apple IIgs working again. So we'll see what kind of time I have around the holidays. So we'll see how it all goes. What used to happen on Christmas Eve evening is that my wife's family would all get together and have lobster. And I hate lobster, so I would be given dispensation to kind of hang out and geek around in the house by myself. So if that happens, we'll definitely stream out on Christmas Eve evening as Santa is doing his thing and the family is out for a little bit. But we'll see if that happens. But we're definitely doing that. So don't worry, and we will have that. I'll probably air the retro review the week between Christmas and New Year's. I'm going to try to take a couple days off in that time span there. So that is that. All right. Yes, Michael, Lon.TV/store has the stuff that I'm getting rid of. So definitely check it out. It's always a good amount of stuff in there that is on its way to new homes. Okay, so we're going to unbox this now and record it for the Extras channel. So we're going to switch the Amazon carousel to the right item here. And we're going to start recording right now. 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and it's time for another unboxing. This is a rather unique Bluetooth speaker that came in free of charge from Lenovo the other day. I don't typically review Bluetooth speakers. I think they're a dime a dozen, but this one's unique because it is super thin, and I wanted to see how it performs. So we're going to unbox it now, and then we'll have a review up on my main channel at Lon.TV. So we're going to get into the box here. It is very well sealed here. I did cut the seals off of it. Maybe I didn't. Let me start this recording again because I did not cut the seals completely. There's 2 seals. There's one on the top and one on the bottom. That shot looks a little blown out to me, doesn't it? So let's turn down the camera also. Yeah, that was not broken. That's why that didn't open yet. There we go. Okay. So let's adjust the exposure on this camera because this is way blowed out. I'm going to turn the lights down a little bit too. I'm still playing around with my new lighting thing here too, so that's been that's been a bit of a challenge. I think you've all heard me complain about how bad I am at lighting, so this is part of it. That's too dark, so we need to boost the exposure a bit. And then I have like too many displays here, and not all of them are very good at depicting the right lighting levels. So I do have scopes available on my TriCaster, and I need to start looking at those a little bit more closely. Okay, now the other issue, I can move the keyboard over here. I could probably zoom in a little bit on this too, so let me do that real quick. I should have put my PTZ camera up here, but you know, the problem is that I'm having a hard time getting the PTZ camera to match my other cameras. So I might do it though, because it'd be easier to just adjust that from the ground on the TriCaster versus having to stand up every time. So let's get that a little better adjusted there. All right. And we'll have the other shot here. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of move that in there, and then we'll move my phone over here temporarily, and we'll keep an eye on the chat. And that's how we're going to do that. So I think I'll position it and then kind of go from there. That is the deal. All right. Tabalba is here. Sorry for getting your name mixed up. He just got back from church and just caught the live stream. Welcome. Yep, we are doing a little Sunday afternoon live stream. So getting some recording done. We're simulcasting to Amazon at the moment as well, so you can check me out on either place. All right, let's start this again, and I'm going to have this second shot be this camera, and then we'll go to the overhead. 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and it's time for another unboxing, and today we're taking a look at a Bluetooth speaker from Lenovo. This is their ultra-portable Bluetooth speaker, and I don't usually look at Bluetooth speakers here on the channel because they tend to be a dime a dozen, but this one intrigued me because it is so thin, and I was eager to see how it sounds given that. So we're going to take a quick look at it now, and then we'll have a full review soon on my main channel at Lon.TV. Because I think this might be useful for other activities like making speakerphone conference calls, that sort of thing. So again, we'll explore this in more detail shortly on the main channel. Now, I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, that this came in free of charge from Lenovo. However, they are not sponsoring this video, so no one's paying for what you're about to see, nor is anyone reviewing or approving it before it gets uploaded. And Lenovo has sponsored content here in the past on the channel as well, in full disclosure. Okay, so let's get into the box here and see what this is about. Now, on the surface, this looks like a regular Bluetooth speaker, but look at this. There's nothing to it. It is very, very thin. In fact, it feels in my hand almost like a smartphone. It's got a nice feel to it. It's got a nice metal band around it here, so pretty cool stuff. And it looks like it has an NFC chip inside as well. I see the NFC logo for pairing it up with a compatible phone. It's got some rubber feet here too, so it seems to be holding itself down on the desk pretty nicely. So it's got a nice industrial design to it. You're paying a lot more for this speaker versus others. It's about $110 at the time I'm recording this video, so it is a little more premium. On the back here, it looks like, let me get a different camera angle up here for you. We've got a USB Type-C port and the power switch, so that is that component there. Also in the box, let's take a look and see what else we've got. We have a bunch of manuals and whatnot. There's a hand strap, so you could easily carry it around with you. And there's actually a spot here to install that hand strap, so that might be something we'll put in there. And then you have the USB cable too. Good stuff. All right, so let me boot this thing up and pair it up with my phone. We'll do a very quick audio test, and then we'll be back with a full review very shortly on the main channel. All right, so let's put that recording into the log here. And it's Modern Snipe's birthday, everybody. He's hoping to get his hands on some tech. Hopefully he's got some folks in his life that will accommodate that request. All right, let's just play this back real quick, make sure I didn't miss anything on that. About 2 minutes. And I'm echoing, but don't worry. 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and it's time for another unboxing, and today we're taking a look at a Bluetooth speaker from Lenovo. This is their ultra portable Bluetooth speaker, and I don't usually look at Bluetooth speakers here on the channel because they tend to be a dime a dozen, but this one intrigued me because it is so thin, and I was eager to see how it sounds given that. So we're going to take a quick look at it now, and then we'll have a full review soon on my main channel at Lon.TV. Because I think this might be useful for other activities like making speakerphone conference calls, that sort of thing. So again, we'll explore this in more detail shortly on the main channel. Now, I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, that this came in free of charge from Lenovo. However, they are not sponsoring this video, so no one's paying for what you're about to see, nor is anyone reviewing or approving it before it gets uploaded. And Lenovo has sponsored content here in the past on the channel as well, in full disclosure. Okay, so let's get into the box here and see what this is about. Now, on the surface, this looks like a regular Bluetooth speaker, but look at this. There's nothing to it. It is very, very thin. In fact, it feels in my hand almost like a smartphone. It's got a nice feel to it. It's got a nice metal band around it here, so pretty cool stuff. And it looks like it has an NFC chip inside as well. I see the NFC logo for pairing it up with a compatible phone. It's got some rubber feet here too, so it seems to be holding itself down on the desk pretty nicely. So it's got a nice industrial design to it. You're paying a lot more for this speaker versus others. It's about 110 bucks at the time I'm recording this video, so it is a little more premium. On the back here, it looks like, let me get a different camera angle up here for you. We've got a USB Type-C port and the power switch, so that is that component there. Also in the box, let's take a look and see what else we've got. We have a bunch of manuals and whatnot. There's a hand strap, so you could easily carry it around with you. And there's actually a spot here to install that hand strap, so that might be something we'll put in there. And then you have the USB cable too. Good stuff. All right, so let me boot this thing up and pair it up with my phone. We'll do a very quick audio test, and then we'll be back with a full review very shortly on the main channel. All right, so I just paired it up with my phone, and I want to adjust the angle of camera 2, folks, so bear with me for a second here. And we're hitting that period of the year when everything is like static charge down here, so I've got to be very careful with the mister in particular when I start touching it. I did order a case for the mister, so hopefully that will be here soon, because I am very nervous about damaging my mister, for sure. All right. Okay, so let's take a look at this. All right, so we've got it paired up with my phone. And what I need to do real quick is find my copyright safe audio here. So let me go into my iCloud Files app. I think that's what the one, there it is. Okay. I'm switching all of my file stuff to iCloud because I was on the free thing for Dropbox for years, but they recently reduced the number of devices you can have connected. And I just don't, I'm paying 10 bucks a month for iCloud for the 2 terabytes because that's where all my photos go and everything, and I get the drive as a bonus. So I just decided that's where I'm going to hook myself up to here. All right, so let's hear what this sounds like real quick, and then we'll do our next clip. Yeah, not great. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, so it's and here's the thing with speaker reviews. It's so hard to do these because here's what's funny is when I do a review of a speaker, I often get viewers writing in saying, "Where's the audio test?" Well, what's the point if you're trying to review a speaker? How do you actually accurately depict what the speaker sounds like? Because here's what's going on here: we're hearing the speaker, or I'm hearing the speaker with my ears. But for you to hear the speaker, it's got to be through this mic or one of the mics that I have on the cameras here, and then it goes through your computer speakers or headphones, and it's going to sound very different for every single viewer because everyone is listening to things in different ways. So that's why when I do these reviews, the full reviews, I tell people, look, we're not going to have an audio test here because there's no way for me to just let you hear what it sounds like. It just doesn't work. So you have to take my word for it. But I will say that it sounds about what I would expect something this flat to sound like from a size perspective, because there's just no room for those speakers to move at all. So you're not getting a lot of bass here. But it's loud and clear, so that's good. But I think it's going to do better probably as a spoken word device, or perhaps something that you would use for conference calling. And that's what I'll actually test when we do the more thorough thing. So that's what we'll do there. Hot Sauce wants to know, what's about this time of the year that makes static more likely? It is just because things are so dry. So I've got the heater running in here. So it's funny, when I did the basement over, I did not run heat from my furnace, even though it's right next door, because we would have had to add another zone, and it was going to be prohibitively expensive to do that. So what I ended up doing was I got one of those split systems, one of those heat pump things, and that's worked out really well. They're very efficient. They're electric heat, but it's not as expensive as traditional electric heat is. And I'm finding, this is my third winter now with it, and it's been really good. Even like on super cold days outside, it's been keeping this room warm. What happens though is that my particular model, because I think I bought like a prior version of it. It was new, but it was an older version. So the newer ones now are like efficient to like 3 degrees or 0 degrees Fahrenheit outside, which is crazy that it can pull heat out of that little amount of temperature outside. This one is like efficient up to like 20 degrees or something, and then after that it costs more to operate. But usually my electric bill hasn't been too bad from it, so it's worked out, and it was a lot less expensive than duct work and all the other stuff. And I also didn't have a lot of room in here for duct work, given the ceiling height that I had initially. So it worked out pretty well all in. All right, so. Yes, Eric's variety channels. You do it with prohibitively expensive equipment for people to listen to it through an iPhone speaker. That's exactly true. That's exactly it. And that's why you can't do these audio checks. And I just watch this stuff. I'm like, oh man, this is not going to work. All right, so I think what I'll do is start off, because our last shot was on me. So I'm going to start off on the speaker. And I think what I'll do is just play music. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hit that button in 3, 2, 1. All right, so I got it paired up with my phone. It was pretty easy to do. The battery was dead when it came out of the box, so you will probably want to plug this in to get it charged up. It comes with the charging cable, but not the AC adapter, but it is standard USB, so they assume now everybody's got those USB plugs kicking around. So plug it into a USB power source. It has some capacitive buttons here on the top, and I can start playing this that way. And, the audio quality is about what I would expect. It's not very good. The bass is certainly not there. It's loud though, and pretty clear, but it doesn't have a good range of sound that you would expect out of a larger Bluetooth speaker. So I'm going to say this will be good for very low volume music listening, certainly good for podcasts, and it will do well, hopefully, as a speakerphone device, which we will also be testing a little bit later. I think the portability of this as a speakerphone device might be useful for some folks, especially if you are someone who travels a lot and will need to have a small conference room speakerphone thing going on. This might be a useful tool for that. So we'll test that in the full review. A lot more to come. So stay tuned, and until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching. All right. Yeah, see, normally if this would be something I would just leave on the extras channel, but I think the size here is interesting, and I think there's an audience for this kind of thing. And the other thing that I found too is that when you're reviewing products like this, if you review a generic Bluetooth speaker, it's going to be what it is. You're not going to get a lot of traffic on it. But speakers from well-known companies like Lenovo tend to have marketing muscle behind them, so your videos tend to get seen more because people are hearing about the products that are being marketed, and that's one of the things that I think about when I'm doing product reviews is will there be an audience for the video? So that is something there. Here's a good question from Peter. who's asking about collabs. And you know, it's funny. I haven't done a lot of collabs. I've done a few. We did one with Bob from Retro RGB just a couple of weeks ago. And that was a really fun video because I was invited to do a presentation at Retro World Expo, which is a retro gaming thing. And we talked about the Mister project. And that was a really, really fun thing to do. And I posted that video on the channel, so you can check that out. But you have to understand too, with some of these YouTubers like MKHB or MK, what is he, Marcus Brown, MKBHD or Linus or LGR, the Apic guy, they get a lot of requests from a lot of different channels. And my model is very different than theirs because most of my viewership are people who are not subscribed to me. They are coming in from search and that sort of thing. So as a result of that, I probably won't, partly because I know that they're probably too busy to have me do a collab with them. I mean, if one of them reached out and said, "Oh, we'd love to have you do a collab with us," I'd certainly do it. But I just don't think they would find that to be a good use of their time, especially for me because I'm not very well known. Again, most of my viewership comes from people that are searching for specific products, and that's why the things I do with Amazon are really useful because people are looking for the product, and my video happens to be in front of them, and that's how they discover me. And I think a lot of you probably discovered me through a search at some point. But I will say I did meet Marcus Brownlee at a Motorola event about 3 or 4 years ago. It was when I was first really getting started, and Motorola started inviting me to stuff, and it was fun to meet him. I sat next to him at an unveiling, and he really down-to-earth guy. Very. It was funny because you see. He was kind of, I'm not saying this to disparage him. I think he was a little more introverted than I expected him to be. But it was fun to hear about how his channel was developing, and I think he had first just graduated college, and he was already this huge star on YouTube. And what's interesting though, I had asked him specifically. I said, what percentage of your viewership are subscribers versus non-subscribers? And his number was almost the flip side of mine. So at that point, 90% of my traffic was non-subscribers. He had essentially 90% that were subscribers, which was interesting. Now I'm about 80-20, so I've picked up about 10% as the subscriber base has grown. But again, still search and algorithm are still my primary means of traffic right now. Mr. K says, "Love your channel. You inspire a lot of up-and-coming YouTubers. Thank you very much." Well, what's interesting about this is that, I complain about YouTube every once in a while, but the reality is that if you figure out what the economics of this business are, and you make content that serves the market, you will find some level of success on it. And I think what happens is that people do content that advertisers don't want to advertise on, then you're not going to make money off of the YouTube or the Amazon or whatever. You're not going to make any money because if there's not a market for that content, fair or unfair, there's just not going to be revenue for you. So, what I found to work very well is the fact that people are looking for straight up information on these products. I could spend a lot of time shilling for other people or whatever, but I found, you add some value, you don't waste people's time, and over time, if you stick with it, you will do well. And knock on wood, we've had a very good year, so hopefully that continues. And if it doesn't, I'll adjust, and I do that. So a good example, when I first got started with the channel, is I was reviewing anything I could get my hands on, and I was getting offered all this crazy stuff from a lot of these generic manufacturers, and I was just happy to be offered something to have content. It wasn't even the fact that this stuff was being given for free or whatever. I was just eager to have content. And what I discovered was that these items that no one's ever heard from before are not being searched for either. And I was wasting a lot of time on things that nobody cared about. So what I decided to do was I started buying things to review, and I still do that. I do that a lot. And then I review it and then resell it. And that had been the big change in direction, I think, in 2014. And it turned out to be a great decision. But it took some financial risk, not a lot. You lose a little bit on the sale of the item, but I discovered that a product from Lenovo, which has a big marketing arm behind it, is going to do better than a product that nobody's ever heard of before. And also why I don't review a lot of Bluetooth speakers, because it's just, again, dime a dozen kind of stuff. Let's take a few more questions, and then we'll unbox this next item, which is going to be the Lenovo VoIP 360 camera. All right, so we've got Eric's Variety Channel. He's not too far from me. Let's see. Thank you, Joseph, for your kind words there, Joseph Griffiths. Peter says, thanks for the answer. I'm proud to be a subscriber. Keep up the good work. You're welcome. K.I. Cinder wants to know why Plex always loses the server on Shield TV. I don't know. I haven't had that issue. But what I do recommend people do on Plex, I never recommend hosting the server on the Shield itself. I really feel like having a separate device is more reliable. Just because the Shield wasn't designed to be a server, even though it can be one. I tend to have I always recommend, if you can afford it, get a NAS or get a little mini PC or something else to do it. But I haven't had issues myself, so I would have to know what's going on in your particular environment. By the way, the Plex forums are really helpful, so you can run through those and get some help there. Eric says he doesn't have an interest in every product I review, but watches as many videos as he can. Yep, thank you, Eric. And I think that's too. I mean, the other challenge with this channel is that my interests are so diverse, and so are the subscriber base's interests. So if I do a cord-cutting device, for example, that will do very well because a good chunk of my subscriber base is into cord cutting. But if I do a computer review, I'll pick up the people that are interested in computer stuff, but not the cord cutters. And what's been interesting is that the YouTube algorithm has gotten very good at figuring out who in my subscriber base would like to see what. It's pretty crazy, scary actually how good it is. Let's see. Dan wants to know, do I resell things fast? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. And this is the risk that happens, is that if I review something that is not great, it takes me a lot longer to get rid of it. And so sometimes I end up just doing a fire sale on it just to get rid of it. And that's part of the cost of doing business, and once you get once you get everything figured out and you know who you are, you know how to communicate what you're trying to communicate, you can afford to take a loss on that stuff, and sometimes it does. And I think what's worked for me is that a lot of manufacturers appreciate that I'm not in this for all the free stuff, so I'm more than happy to send stuff back. So, once you get, you got to get up, you got to be able to be noticed a little bit. And I think if you're approaching things ethically, and I can tell you a lot of PR departments are looking for more ethical YouTubers because of how much risk they have in getting unwarranted attention from the FTC. So that's the kind of stuff to be on the lookout for. Richard Thompson wants to know, so I posted the other day about the fact that I saw a Comcast traffic cone on the street the other day, and was it because they're working on something? No, and the cone is still there, so I think it fell off the back of a truck. So that's what happened there. Oh, Eric's not far from me. He said he wasn't far from Marcus Brownlee. Next one here, Cantankerous Dave. I've been having... So it looks like there might be an issue with the Shield server and the Shield and the Plex server. I'll try mine out tonight because I haven't watched anything on my TV for a while. I've been watching Disney Plus a lot when I've had time to watch something, but between the kids and all the stuff I do down here, it was really tough to do that. All right, Serban Victor Andre. He's watched all my videos from the beginning. Thank you. Wow, it's a long-time subscriber. Yeah, back from 2012 probably. So thank you for tuning in. You're welcome, Dan, for answering. And Peter bought an Asus Chromebook after watching what I do. Thank you very much. And Peter has a good observation on the new Plex free video. He says it changes content based on your DNS, which is interesting. Very interesting. That's a good tip. So if you are looking for more content on the new Plex thing, maybe adjust your DNS settings on your device. He's in the UK, Andy Roworth. Here's a good question from Andy Roworth, who's asking about where my viewers are located. We're going to get to the unboxing here in a second if you're watching on Amazon. Sorry, everybody. About half of my viewership is in the US, and so the other half is not in the US, but that half that's not in the US is all over the place. So if you were to look at like which country has the most traffic, it is the United States, which is why, and of course being in the US, that's why I get a lot of US-based products in to review. What was funny though was when I went to IFA in Germany, whenever I go, so now when I go to CES, I've been going to this stuff long enough. I kind of, you get to know everybody, and people get to know you, and so you see the same PR people each year at CES and all the other PepCom things that I go to. And then this year, when I went to IFA, I saw all the brands I was familiar with, but none of the people that I usually talk to, because it was all of their overseas teams. So I thought that was a little shift, So yeah, it's tough because I would love to look at more products, more internationally available products, but I can't get those here typically. So that's the challenge. Lenovo's a little different because they do a lot of their marketing out of the US, even for Europe. So that one we have a little bit more luck with, but it's hard to get that other stuff here. I would be happy to look at more UK-based stuff. 11 Wallace wants to know about the mobile printer I unboxed. Yes, I've been playing with it and I haven't gotten to it yet. And that comes back to the priority decision-making stuff. So this is like a little handheld printer that's got an HP ink cartridge built into it, and you can just print just by running your hand across stuff. And I haven't reviewed that yet because it's not available for sale anywhere. So I've been waiting to see it come out before I look at it, because if no one's really thinking about it or looking for it, it's not going to show up anywhere, and I'm not going to get a lot of traffic on it. Because again, most of my viewership comes from those searches. So I am going to get to it when I have a slower week, but as long as other stuff is coming in that is more likely to be viewed, I'm going to prioritize that. Brian Carter says The Mandalorian looks great. Yeah, I've been really enjoying The Mandalorian. I've been watching it a lot. Modern Snipe is using Plex on a Shield, having a good experience with that. Yeah, I think it could work well if you're doing like a single person kind of thing with that. All right, I got a few more. Let me unbox this, and then I will get back to some questions here, because I'm sure the Amazon viewers would like to see me unbox more stuff. So let me go do that real quick, and then we'll jump back to questions, because there's a lot of good ones in here, and I'm eager to answer all of them. So we're going to go and shoot an unboxing of this device. I'm eager to try this out, because I do have a subset of the audience that's into these business products. So I think this is going to be a great business product. So let's start it off here, and then you might see me experimenting with this thing on a stream a little later in the week as we start playing around with it, because I've got to rig up all this stuff to make it all work. So that is what we're going to experiment with. All right, 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and it's time for another unboxing. And today we got in this device from Lenovo the other day. This is their VoIP 360 camera speaker. And the problem this sets out to solve is for people that are doing conference calls from a conference room where you've got a bunch of people all kind of gathered around the table, and it's hard to get the right shot without moving the camera around or that sort of thing. This device is a 360 camera that you can adjust to different camera angles so that you can have a more meaningful conference call with multiple people in the room. And we're going to be testing this out on my main channel at Lon.TV shortly, so I'll have a full review of this. Today we're just going to unbox it, so stay tuned for that. And I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, this came in free of charge from Lenovo. However, nobody is paying for this unboxing, nor is anyone reviewing it or approving it before it gets uploaded. And of course, all of the opinions you're about to hear are my own. Lenovo did sponsor us in the past for a trip to a trade show, but they are not sponsoring this video, in full disclosure. Okay, so let's take this thing out of the box here and see what we've got. So this is what it looks like. Let me get you my other camera angle here. And because it's a 360 camera, you can kind of put it down in the middle of your environment, and the camera will be able to see everything. There's a couple of different modes that you can operate it with, and we'll go over those in the full review. We've got a USB Type-C connector here, and it looks like it's got a little downward firing speaker here. We've got a tripod mount here as well, so you could mount this on a tripod, or maybe even mount it upside down or something. We'll have to experiment with a few different ways to look at it. So a very unique conference room speaker. I do believe it has to be attached to your computer. Again, we will explore all of that in the full review. Let's take a look also and see what else is in the box, and then we will start testing this and have more for you shortly. So let's take a look here. All right, so it looks like we've got ourselves a USB Type-C cable here for plugging it into your computer. So of course you could have a direct USB-C to USB-C connection, or you can connect it up with a USB-A plug there. They've got a handy little carrying case to carry it around with you, and some instruction books as well. So lots to see here on this one coming up. We're going to have a lot of different things to try out with it, especially Skype calls and that sort of thing. So more to come. Stay tuned, and until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching. All right. That one felt a little weak to me, but it's hard. You know, it's hard with something that doesn't have anything to show to really get a good unboxing there, but we'll run with that one. 6002. All right, and let's take a few more questions, and then I've got to wrap up because my wife's going to be heading out shortly, and I got to entertain the children. And I love entertaining my children because they're fun. They're fun kids. All right, my favorite product of the year from Darren Buss. So I just uploaded my best of video. So if you haven't checked that out, do. And actually, that video is doing really well. If I check my analytics here, it's been one of my better ones of the month. So I would say out of everything I looked at, I think the Oculus Quest is probably my pick, partly because I'm a big fan of virtual reality, and I think the Quest really kind of hits that mark for me. So that's something that I am really enjoying. And when they added the support for PC headsets, or for to turn it into a PC headset, I think that really adds a tremendous amount of value to a product that was already very good. We're going to talk about it a little bit on the wrap-up this week, because I guess Oculus released some sales figures, not of the Quest itself, but they were releasing some figures based on the software sales they are experiencing with the Quest. And they are selling way more software on the Quest platform than they are on the PC. And I would probably venture to say that's going to be indicative of some of the other PC VR offerings out there as well. So the Quest is moving software finally, which was kind of a goal that a lot of these VR companies could not figure out how to reach, and they're getting closer there. So that one, just from the standpoint of innovation, I think that one was the best thing I looked at all year. Followed up closely, though, by the Mister, which is more of a hobbyist kind of thing for us retro enthusiasts, but that's probably the best retro product out since MAME. It's that intriguing to me. And we're going to have a retro review coming up on the Mister stuff. So next one here, Jeremy P. My videos from the DS918 Plus sometimes lag or act sluggish. Should I add a stick of RAM? It's intermittent and sometimes only on my Apple TV Wi-Fi. Yeah, I would say if you're getting sluggish, laggy stuff, it's most likely your Wi-Fi connection. And we did some videos on the channel about what happens when Wi-Fi gets saturated. So, for example, if you have a lot of people streaming stuff on the Wi-Fi connection, in particular, if you have a lot of people transmitting data out, maybe uploading a large file or something, that could impact things. The Wi-Fi is a shared connection, so it's possible. Without knowing what kind of videos you're playing from your 918 Plus, it's hard to say exactly. But if you've got Blu-ray MKVs that have a really large, really demanding amount of bandwidth required, that's going to be an issue. So I believe I'm getting the 10-minute warning here, folks, from my wife upstairs. So I'm going to have to wrap up soon, but I have a few more questions here. Martin Schmidt wants to know if I have a Super NT from Analog. I do. I love it. You can see my review on the channel. We definitely took a look at that. Serban likes to sees all my videos, but most of the time he likes to learn how I make them in all of the products. So yeah, making the videos is kind of a fun thing, isn't it? And showing you how I work. And that's what's been great about doing these streams, is that I really hadn't shown you my workflow too much in the past. So it's helpful. What's nice now on my TriCaster is I have a button and I just push it and it just starts streaming out. So that's been really good. What's been confusing to me is how YouTube is handling live streaming now. So I've got to work a little bit more with that. Dave Schmarter likes the Lenovo smart displays. He has 3 of them now. I have one in. I've got to get that one reviewed this week too. So I need to figure that out. Dan wants to know, do these streams happen weekly, monthly? Yeah, there's no regularity to them. I like to, and partly because I never know when I'm going to have an hour or two to just do one. So at the moment, we're not doing any scheduling of this. But if you are eager to see them, I would hit that notification bell so you get notified. If you follow me on Amazon, I think if you go to Lon.TV/Amazon shop, you'll also see me when I pop up on there. Typically, I do them on YouTube and Amazon at the same time. Vladimir Putin is here. Hello. He he always says, you know, he's a busy guy, but he's coming in to watch us here. So welcome. Looks like you can mount that camera on a tripod. Yes, Peter. Yep, looks like we can do that. And Bill Cody, yeah, just answered that. So Lon.TV/Amazon shop. That will bring you to my YouTube, my Amazon page, and then I think there's a follow button on there. So check it out. Happy holidays, Michael. Thank you for stopping by. Let's see what we've got here. Thanks for your answer. Dan wants to say possibly a workflow video. Actually, I just did a workflow video. So if you go and look for one, it was a weekly wrap-up that I did a couple of weeks ago. And we actually covered, it was an entire half hour of workflow. So what we did is we talked about the TriCaster. We covered every item behind me on the set. And we also showed what happens to the video when we're done, how I copy it off and edit it on the computer. Serban, CalDigit TS3, he liked it but could not say it did not do quite, okay. So yeah, I have a CalDigit dock upstairs in my secondary office, and it's great. I really like it. What's nice about it is I have a MacBook Pro, and when I go upstairs, I have a single cable, and once I plug that in, it lights up my monitor. I've got Ethernet running to it. It's a really great solution. And Serban says he's disappointed that it only has one DisplayPort port on it. Yes, it only does. However, on the TS3 and most of these Thunderbolt docks, the other Thunderbolt port, if you're not using it, you can output display from there. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, even if you have another Thunderbolt device attached to the dock, you should be able, if you're using the daisy chaining, to plug in an adapter and be able to output video from that if you have enough room on that. Martin Schmidt wants to know about the Mister device. Is it for ROMs only? So I'm trying to figure out what he means by this, but so here's what it is. And you can buy one of these components on Amazon. It's called the DE10 Nano. Maybe I'll add it to the carousel here so people can follow along. And what it is an FPGA development board. And this is designed to get people into FPGA development. And I did a great discussion with Bob from Retro RGB, which I talked about a few minutes ago, on the channel, and I would definitely check that out. I think if you're on Amazon and you look for that DE10 Nano board, I'm just looking for it on their list of products here, you should see it on that product as well. And what separates this device from a Raspberry Pi or something similar is that this is an FPGA, which means that you're replicating the logic of all of these original devices. So for example, the Sega Genesis behind me has essentially 2 CPUs inside of it, plus some graphics processors and other chips. It's got a 68,000 CPU, a Z80 CPU, which they use in parallel. It's almost parallel processing to some degree. And it's very difficult to get a Raspberry Pi or some really low-end emulation device to get that accurate timing that is required to make these games function the way you want them to, especially when it comes to input lag and that sort of thing. So what the Mister project is doing is recreating not only, if you look at what MAME did, which is preserving the ROMs, the software, this is preserving the hardware in how the logic works. And I think that's what's so significant about it. So the bottom line is that when you load up a Sega Genesis or now a Sega CD or Mega CD on the Mister, you are getting something that is replicating the logic flow that you would have on the original hardware. And as a result, things run better. There's more compatibility. But the biggest thing is just the responsiveness, because the timings are the same. And that's really critical, especially for enthusiasts. So that's a long answer to a short question. But it is, okay, I see where he's going with it now. So he wanted to know whether or not it's meant for cartridges. So right now there's no cartridge thing for it, although it's certainly possible. But yes, it needs ROMs in order to work. And what's nice about Mister is that it doesn't recreate the work that was done on MAME in the sense that you have to go out and flash all these, or all these ROMs. You can just use the ROMs that are already out there in the emulation community in a very new way. So I'm sorry I didn't get your question initially there, Martin, but hopefully that answers your question. It doesn't support cartridges yet, but I can't see why it wouldn't in the future. Now, here's the thing with the DE10 Nano, is that it is a device that is subsidized by Intel. And one of the questions is, like, what happens if they decide, let me add it to the stream here for Amazon folks, What happens if they decide to stop supporting that? And that's an area that could happen. So I think if you're interested in Mister, pick up that immediately. The good news, though, as far as FPGA is concerned, is that the code is relatively portable. So if the DE10 Nano is no longer the preferred platform for Mister, it should be able to port over to something else powered by a similar FPGA, for example. So I think it's going to be okay. Analog, who makes those great consoles like the Super NT and the Mega SG, is in the process of coming up with a handheld device, and they have added the ability for people to code FPGA cores for that platform. So I wouldn't be surprised if Analog decides to come up with some hardware like that to fill in any kind of gaps that might end up happening in the future. So you will spend a bit on getting your Mister kind of configured. So I've been adding stuff to it over time. I just ordered a case and a USB hub for it. So there's stuff that you got to pay for to get it all working. Martin wants to know what cores are supported. Let me get my cable out here. A lot. In fact, most of the 80s. I'm looking for my there it is, my HDMI output, so I can show you. Most of the computers from the 80s and 90s are now supported on it. And let me wait for my computer to catch up here. Oops, I just unplugged everything. Here we go. So most of the cores from the 80s and 90s are supported on it. So a lot of the computers are supported. Some better than others. And surprisingly, the 2600, the Atari 2600, is not fully baked apparently. So there's still some work there. But let me pull up the list that you can see what you can run on this. And I just love it because it's such, for me, it's like the perfect device because it's not plug and play. It requires a little bit of tinkering, and then there's this, you just constantly have to play with it to get everything working. So here, let me pull up the list of what is supported right now. And they've just reorganized everything. So you've got some historical computers. And again, if you were watching on Amazon, this development board I am linking to right now runs all of this stuff. So the Altair 8800, the PDP-1, they have Eastern computers, which is interesting, right? So this is stuff from Eastern Europe and I think Russia too. So there's some real history here preserved with these. They've got an Apple I running on it, the Atari 800, the Commodore 16. The very first computer I played with was the TI-99. I went to a computer camp between kindergarten and first grade. And I still remember that really well. Maybe it was first and second grade. Whatever it was something, it was very, I don't think I was like fully reading yet, and I was doing logo and sprites and stuff. So that will probably be one we'll experiment with on the live stream. It supports the TI-99, which I just mentioned, the ZX81, and that one is the British version of the Timex Sinclair 1000, I believe, which I have on my thing there. And I've got a bunch of tapes for that original device. And what's cool about what they're doing with Mister is they're figuring out, here, let me show you this. They're figuring out ways to get like the tapes to load, because these ran off of audio tapes. So here's the deal. So now I think I had the 32K RAM pack on mine. This is all the stuff that it supports. And then they've got a mechanism in which you can load tapes on. And I think you could probably record these yourself, or you can download them from somewhere. So that's one of the things I'm going to be doing in the next couple of days is prepping that live stream / video we're going to do on computing on the Mister. Because there's been so much focus on the video game portion of the Mister, which is fine, but there's a lot of computing that it does as well. We'll continue on the list here real quick, then I got to run. 8-bit computers. So Apple II Plus now supports the Apple IIe, and that's going to be fun because that was my computer that I used a lot in the 80s and 90s too, for that matter. And the Apple IIe that it supports now works with the 65C02 processor, which was the enhanced version. I had an Apple IIc, which also had the 65C02, and there's some software that would run on enhanced machines and not on non-enhanced. So I'll show you a bunch of software that I work with there. Commodore 64. Now I didn't have a 64, but all my friends did, so that has some fond memories. Some of my UK friends will have to get me some ZX Spectrum stuff to look at. We might look at the MSX as well. And you can see it gets harder now as you get further along. So they have 16 and 32-bit computers, but not as many. This is a 386 PC core, which you can run Windows on, which we'll explore. The Amiga, the Mac Plus, The X68000 is not quite there yet, but it's coming. It's going to be ready soon, I think. And this is a real killer computer from Japan. Then you've got all these things, the Astrocades and the 2600s, and then you can see all the different consoles that it runs. Good stuff. I mean, look at this Mega CD now, the Neo Geo, Super Nintendo. All this stuff is really, really good. Game Boy Advance is now available on it. There's a bunch of arcade cores now too, so many that they have to take them off and put them on their own list here. So these are all the arcade games that it runs. And you can get analog output too, so you could plug these things into a CRT with the I/O board and get pretty much the almost perfectly accurate representations of the original with very little button lag. So all good stuff. And I'm sorry to take so much time with this, but this is why those two things, the Quest and the Mister, are my two favorites of the year for sure. But that's a really good question about my top product. I think I'll throw that into the wrap up this cycle here. But yeah, Martin, I think you'll love the Mister. It's just, like I said, it's just the perfect device if you like to tinker with things. And what I would suggest is, the DE10 Nano, which I have currently on the Amazon thread, I would get that first because there's a lot of stuff, you have to obviously, but there's a lot of stuff that the Nano runs on its own without having to buy the RAM board or anything else initially. So you might have enough to start with there, and then you can go to other places to get the RAM and the I/O board and some of the other things you might need. But Smoke Monster has done some great content on what you can do with that. So that is definitely worth taking a look at. Garton says he misses didn't make the cut. Well, we were going to have a didn't make the cut segment on the wrap up. I was going to shoot some B-roll for that today, but I've got to run here in 5 minutes because the wife is getting ready to leave, and my mother-in-law is coming over to grab her to go to the show, and I've got to be upstairs in a minute. So we will definitely get to there. All right, everybody. I think I've got to run. Let me just run now because otherwise I'm going to start answering more questions and I'm going to be in trouble. We don't want to get me in trouble here. So we will be back. We're going to do some more live streaming soon. What we'll be streaming next? I think what we'll probably do is start playing around with that DJI drone that I got. Because I'm actually eager to figure out ways in which I can integrate its footage into the TriCaster here. So that's going to be a fun experiment. I have to do that later in the week when I've got time. Because that will be a time-consuming one. But I want to actually start running through all the different modes that it can do. So we're going to play with that. And in order to do that, I've got to upgrade some software. There's a whole bunch of stuff I got to figure out. So we'll get that going probably for the next stream. We'll also have a stream where I'll be setting up the Mister for the video that I'll be doing for the post-Christmas thing on retro computing on the Mister. So we'll have lots of fun stuff to check out. And I'm sorry for those of you that came in late who missed it. Oh, by the way, somebody was asking if I had, let me scroll back up because I missed this question and I was eager to answer it. Somebody was asking if I reviewed the new NVIDIA Shield, and I sure did. In fact, I reviewed both of them, both of the new ones. And I think it was Vladimir Putin that asked that question. Yeah, are you doing a vid on the new Shield out of 2018? So this is what gets me, not about Vladimir's question here, but what gets me is the fact that this is a perfect example of why the algorithms really tick me off sometimes, because it doesn't put every video up in front of people. And I know why they do what they do, but here's an example of someone who's wondering, hey, two of my largest videos in the last 2 months were my reviews of the two new Shield devices. And the algorithm did not put it in front of a viewer who's here all the time, who loves that content. So yes, Vladimir, not mad at you. I'm mad at the platforms and their algorithms. But I did review both the Shields, the new Pro and the new Tube. So you can check both of those out on the channel and get my opinion of them. I still think the NVIDIA Shield is the best streaming device from a performance standpoint that's out there, no question. The concerns I have with it this go around is that they advertised a performance improvement that really isn't there for people. I think people were expecting from that marketing language a much faster device for the things that they do with their Shields, and the reality is that it's not going to deliver that performance. So there's probably something where you could say, yes, it's 25% faster in this one particular kind of use case, but it wasn't 25% faster for what most people do. So that is that. All right, one last question here. Peter Veneer wants to know, the Acer Aspire 5, assuming with the AMD chip, should I buy it? What do you think? I like that. If you're on a budget and you want to spend less than $400 on a laptop, I think that's a great laptop. I would suggest that you get the RAM installed on there, and let me show you what to look for as you're shopping. And I'm going to add this to the Amazon carousel real quick because I think this is relevant to our chat we're having about this computer. So let me look it up here real quick. I just got to find it on Amazon real quick and add it to our stream here. So this made my video this week on the top products of the year, and this was the. Let me add it to my stream here. Yeah, I'll pull it up on screen so you can see it. This was this thing here. It's got the AMD Ryzen 3. It looks like they've got some additional options later. These are not available to 5 and the 7. I looked. Let me add this to the stream here so you can all make sure you see it there. And we'll go back to the stream and add it to the carousel here. There we go. So this one is well under $400. In fact, I think it was selling for like really low prices during Black Friday. And if you want, you can get the renewed one. And look at that, you can get it for like $280. And what you want to do is, as you're shopping, look for this little section down here where it says frequently bought together. This Samsung module, I think, is the same one that's in the machine. And you really want to add this to this machine. And the reason is that this will switch the device into dual channel mode, and that's how you'll get all the performance that we had in the review of it. So as you're browsing through here, you'll see my review in the video section. So there you go, right here. So I would definitely watch my review of it because it will give you an idea as to the performance you can expect once you get that RAM chip installed. And you definitely want to upgrade the RAM for sure on it just to get that performance out of it. But it's a great machine for the price. It's essentially delivering Intel Iris level graphics on a machine that costs far less than what you would pay for an Iris equipped device. So good stuff and highly recommended. A very good value laptop for this year. All right, well, everybody, I am going to head out because, yes, she will come down here and hunt me down. So I am going to get myself upstairs to look after the kids. And I want to thank you all for tuning in, and let me know if you have anything else you'd like to see on a stream, because that'll be really helpful. So coming up, we've got so I've got a couple of videos ready to go for next week. One of them is going to be my 6-month follow-up on the lowest cost iPad. We did a video about what you could do with the low-cost iPads, and now I'm going to tell you what it's been like for the last 6 months in the hands of my children, because they certainly beat up the devices pretty good, so we'll be covering that. We've got the wrap-up coming up tomorrow, and if you want to know my top products of the year, I just posted that video up today, so have at it. And I want to thank you all for tuning in. It's always great to have a couple hundred friends that are willing to watch me do stuff. And it's fun to tinker around with things with you. And set the notifications. Follow me on Amazon, Lon.TV/Amazon shop, because I stream randomly and you don't want to miss it if you like watching me tinker around with stuff. And sometimes it's actually kind of entertaining because stuff never works right down here. So that's it. All right, everybody, we will see you all soon. Have a good evening, and I will be back again before you know it. And thank you all for tuning in. Bye-bye.